Welcome to another fascinating episode where we dive into history's greatest mysteries. Today we're exploring humanity's oldest recorded story, the Epic of Gilgamesh, an ancient Mesopotamian odyssey recorded in the Akkadian language about Gilgamesh, the king of the Mesopotamian city-state Uruk. The fullest extant text of the Gilgamesh epic is on 12 incomplete Akkadian language tablets found in the mid-19th century at Nineveh in the library of the Assyrian king Ashurbanipal, reigned 668-627 BCE. The gaps that occur in the tablets have been partly filled by various fragments found elsewhere in Mesopotamia and Anatolia. Split into chapters, this tale takes us to the heart of ancient Mesopotamia, where gods, heroes, and the quest for immortality collide. Chapter 1. The Rise of Gilgamesh. Our story begins over 4,000 years ago, c. 2150 to 1400 BCE, in the ancient city of Uruk, in modern-day Iraq. The Ninevite version of the epic begins with a prologue in praise of King Gilgamesh, a man of unmatched strength, wisdom, and ambition, part divine and part human, the great builder and warrior, knower of all things on land and sea. The people saw him as two-thirds god and one-third human, but with this power came an arrogance that troubled his subjects. The great king, who, at first, is depicted as a proud and arrogant tyrant. He terrorizes his people, sleeps with the brides of his subjects on their wedding night, and consistently uses force to get his way in all things. In order to curb Gilgamesh's seemingly harsh rule, the god Anu causes the creation of Enkidu, a wild man who at first lives among animals. Upon hearing of Enkidu roaming the outskirts of his kingdom, Gilgamesh suggests sending the temple prostitute Shamhat to tame him, and she succeeds. Once Enkidu is civilized, however, he becomes enraged by tales of Gilgamesh's arrogance and oppressive ways. Determined to confront him, he sets out for Uruk to challenge the king. Chapter 2. The Bond of Friendship. Tablet 2 describes a trial of strength between the two men thereafter, in which Gilgamesh is the victor. Their bond was unlike any other, a deep friendship that would define both their lives. Together they decided to challenge the unknown, seeking glory and adventure. Their friendship would lead them to the Cedar Forest, where their greatest challenge awaited. Chapter 3. The Battle with Humbaba. In Tablets 3, 4-5, in order to make his name immortal, Gilgamesh suggests they travel to the Cedar Forest to kill the monster demon Humbaba. Demon understood as supernatural entity, not an evil spirit. Humbaba has done nothing wrong and is favored by the gods for his protection of the forest. But this means nothing to Gilgamesh, who is only thinking of himself. Once the two friends have defeated Humbaba, he cries out for mercy, but Enkidu encourages Gilgamesh to kill him, which he does. The rest of the engagement is not recorded in the surviving fragments. Gilgamesh and Enkidu returned then to Uruk, their names now legends, but their actions had stirred divine retribution. In Tablet 6. Back in Uruk, Gilgamesh prepares to celebrate his victory, dressing in his finest clothes, which catches the attention of the goddess Inanna, Ishtar. Enchanted by him, Ishtar attempts to seduce Gilgamesh, but he rejects her, pointing out the tragic fates of her previous lovers, including Dumuzi. Enraged by his refusal, Ishtar sends the Bull of Heaven, her brother-in-law, to Earth to punish Gilgamesh and destroy Uruk. However, Gilgamesh and Enkidu defeat the bull, and in defiance, Enkidu hurls one of its legs at Ishtar. This act of disrespect, along with Enkidu's earlier cruelty toward Humbaba, leads the gods to decree that Enkidu must die as punishment. This act will later have severe consequence. Chapter 4. The Tragedy of Enkidu. Tablet 7 begins with Enkidu's account of a dream in which the gods Anu, Ea, and Shamash decide that Enkidu must die for slaying the bull. Enkidu then falls ill and dreams of the house of dust that awaits him. Despite Gilgamesh's efforts, his friend passed away, leaving Gilgamesh devastated and shaken by the reality of mortality. For the first time, Gilgamesh faced the truth that even the strongest among us are mortal. Overcome by sorrow, he embarked on a quest to conquer death itself. Enkidu's punishment, his eventual death, reveals the inescapable rule of divine justice in Mesopotamian mythology, where human arrogance and irreverence towards the gods lead to tragedy. Chapter 5: The Quest for Immortality. In this part of the Epic of Gilgamesh, we see Gilgamesh's journey evolving from a physical conquest to a philosophical quest, as he searches for the meaning of life and a way to overcome death. The death of Enkidu, his closest friend, has shaken him profoundly, stripping away his pride and vanity and driving him to confront the reality of mortality. He travels far through the mountains and past the Scorpion people, hoping to find Utnapishtim, the man who survived the Great Flood and was rewarded with immortality by the gods. At one point, he meets Siduri, the tavern keeper. She offers him a moment of reflection, advising him to accept life as it is and to cherish earthly joys. Her advice encapsulates a common theme in ancient literature: the importance of embracing the present, with all its fleeting beauty. However, Gilgamesh cannot reconcile himself to this view, as his grief and fear of loss overpower his desire for simple contentment, as he believes life is meaningless if one must eventually lose all that one loves. Siduri directs him to the ferryman Urshanabi, who takes him across the waters of death to the home of Utnapishtim and his wife. Utnapishtim tells him that there is nothing he can do for him. He was granted immortality by the gods, he says, and has no power to do the same for Gilgamesh. Even so, he offers the king 2 chances at eternal life. First, he must show himself worthy by staying awake for 6 days and nights, which he fails at, and then he is given a magic plant, which in a moment of carelessness he leaves on the shore while he bathes, and it is eaten by a snake. Having failed in his quest, he has Urshanabi bring him back to Uruk. Returning to Uruk without achieving his goal, Gilgamesh ultimately finds a kind of immortality in a different form by recording his story on the walls of his city. Through his tale, his legacy endures, emphasizing that while individuals may pass, their deeds and stories can live on. The journey transforms Gilgamesh, and he returns not with the answers he sought, but with wisdom and acceptance of the human condition. This journey from pride to humility, from conquest to understanding, is what defines Gilgamesh as a timeless hero. His journey was filled with trials as he crossed mountains, deserts, and seas, determined to escape the fate that awaited all mortals. When he finally met Utnapishtim, he learned of a great flood that had granted Utnapishtim immortality. A story that mirrors the later tale of Noah's Ark, but Utnapishtim warned him immortality was a gift only for the gods. Chapter 6: The Legacy of Gilgamesh. Disheartened but wiser, Gilgamesh returned to Uruk. He came to realize that true immortality wasn't in living forever, but in the legacy one leaves behind. He devoted himself to making his city great, ensuring his name would be remembered for generations. The Epic of Gilgamesh shows us that even in ancient times, people grappled with the same questions we do today about friendship, loss, and what it means to truly live. The epic is not only a story of a hero's journey, but a reflection of humanity's quest for purpose. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world's first epic. If you're as captivated by ancient history as we are, please subscribe and hit the like button for more tales of mystery and wonder. Until next time, may the stories of the past guide us forward.